evening, everyone. Thank you for being a part of City Council this evening. We have, before we can call our normal City Council to meeting, we have two public hearings because we have two ordinances up for third and final reading tonight. One is Ordinance 467 that is relative to the city's fire protection fees, and the second is Ordinance 468, which is relative to the city's police protection fees. So under the agenda, I will call the first public hearing to order. I will read this by caption, and then if there's anyone here to speak for or against the fee structure, they can do so by joining us at the podium, since we are recording the meeting both on Channel 3 and Facebook, as well as through our device up here. Okay, so the first public hearing, calling to order. To conduct a public hearing regarding the proposed adoption on third and final reading of the following entitled ordinance number 467 of the City of Buckhannon, an ordinance amending ordinance number 390 of the City of Buckhannon, increasing the city's fire protection fees charged to residents and businesses within the corporate limits of the city, establishing tiered fees providing for the administration, collecting and use of fees raised hereby, and setting an effective date of July 1st, 2024. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak for or against the Ordinance 467, which is relative to the city's fire protection fees? Okay. Hearing no one is here to speak for or against, I'd entertain a motion from council that we declare the first public hearing closed.
So moved. Second.
The motion by Mr. McCauley, a second by Mrs. Bucklew. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed? CJ. And CJ will be, yeah. All right, that public hearing is closed. B, the second public hearing. To conduct a public hearing regarding the proposed adoption on third and final reading of the following entitled ordinance number 468 of the City of Buckhannon, an ordinance amending ordinance number 224 of the City of Buckhannon, increasing the city's police protection service fees charged to residents and businesses within the corporate limits, establishing tiered fees, providing for the administration and collection and the use of fees raised hereby, and setting an effective date of July 1st, 2024. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against the police protection fees? Would you please join us at the podium? State your name for those online, and then the floor is yours.
My name is Elizabeth Terry. Sorry, I get a little nervous when I'm not talking to teenagers. Dear council and our police and fire people here, my name is Elizabeth Terry, a resident on Main Street here in Buckhannon. I'd like to speak on the proposed increase in police and fire fees. First, I want to thank the fine work of the PD, the police department and the fire department. And I want you to know that although I have no problems paying for an increased fee, along with the increases in sewage and trash, I do have some issues with both the enforcement and the rates of increase, as well as having a suggestion that would ease some of the city's budgetary issues. As a teacher in Buckhannon, I haven't seen an increase in my pay. This, along with the high rates of inflation, are actually making it impossible to stay here. You've increased the utilities with no concomitant increase in folks' pay, obviously. In fact, on a percentage basis, my taxes were actually lower in California, where I moved from. Asking folks to shoulder the burden of all the people in Buckhannon is a bit much. Secondly, if the proposed rate increases, and it would actually bolster enforcement, I would be more than willing and happy to pay it. Currently, the speeders on Main Street are outrageous. In fact, I've had many conversations with Chief Gregory, as he knows, Mr. Skinner, and the administration of the college. The response has been, frankly, underwhelming. They might do a week of enforcement, but as soon as they bug out, the speeding continues. Just this last Sunday, there were young people riding motorcycles down the road at least 50 miles an hour. But not only on the road, on the sidewalk as well. However, they were going so fast, I couldn't get my phone out fast enough to take a picture of them. We've had animals hit, our cars scratched, we've been egged, and it's only a matter of time before someone on Main Street or Camden is killed. While the PD has put up a radar sign without enforcement, this is just virtue signaling. Instead, the enforcement should happen at least once a week, and in the afternoon and evenings, randomly. My suggestion is also to start billing frequent flyers, or at least the owners of these properties. My neighbors, for example, have had over 300 police calls since I moved in 3 years ago. This occurs at least 2 to 3 times per week, sometimes 2 to 3 times per day. I would suggest that over 10 calls per month should result in a fine from the city. It is unfair to ask the residents to cover the cost of these calls when the owners are unwilling or unable to regulate their own properties. In summary, I think the taxpayers of Buckhannon are asking for enforcement and maybe some relief. The consequences of not doing so, increasing every utility and increasing fees, might make your tax base shrink instead of bloom. I ask you not to approve this fee unless it comes with significant oversight and enforcement changes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anyone else present this evening that wishes to be heard for the public hearing for ordinance number 468? Okay. I'd entertain a motion from council that we declare the second public hearing closed.
Second.
A motion by Macaulay, a second by Rigger. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Like sign opposed. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, now at 7:08, I will call the meeting of the regular city council meeting to order and welcome everyone once again. It's also nice to have our county commission present with us this evening. Welcome, Christy. Thanks for being here. So let's call the meeting to order. We will observe our traditional moment of silent reflection, followed by the pledge to the flag. Thank you very much. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we've got several guests that wish to be addressed or wish to address council this evening. Several are already on the agenda, and then we have more who have signed in. So we will begin with Kathy McMurray, who is the Executive Director of Mountain Cap of West Virginia. And Kathy, after your presentation, I have a proclamation.
Yes. Can I just, since you pass this down? Thank you for allowing, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you're good.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. Periodically I like to come and give a little update to City Council about our progress and performance for the prior year. But I'd like to start with reminding people about the promise of community action. Community action changes people's lives, embodies the spirit of hope, improves communities, and makes America a better place to live. We care about the entire community, and we are dedicated to helping people help themselves and each other. At Mountain Cap, our mission is about building foundations for individuals, families, and communities through programs and partnerships that promote family stability and increase economic opportunities. toward our vision of creating inclusive, vibrant communities where all individuals and families are thriving. So the first page of the handout I gave you is really some demographics from 2023. They haven't changed a whole lot from the prior year, up a little bit, but we did change to a new database system, so we aren't sure we captured everything. It was a bit of a trial, but hopefully we'll have a better report next year. We did serve 863 unduplicated families. That included 2,035 individuals. Just over 52, well, about 52% were female, 47 male, and 0.02% identified as other. About 95% are white. Almost 78% are below the federal poverty level, and that's significant. 15% are people with disabilities, and at least 44% of the folks that we work with are employed at least part-time. We served 119 U.S. veterans. We served 50% adults between the ages of 18 and 59, 35% were children, and 13% were seniors 60 and older. I won't go through every outcome here. I would just point out that we track outcomes. These are significant because it's not just a service. If we give someone help with a utility payment, that's a service. But what that really means is there's an outcome of stable housing for at least probably the next 30, 60, 90 days perhaps. So of all of those individuals that we served, 1,432 actually had a significant outcome, at least one. That means we have a success rate of at least 71%, which is not bad. The other things are just highlights from some of our programs with, like I said, we provided over 4,000 services last year. And we work within the domains of childcare, education, healthy families, housing, health, and economic stability. And the provision through advocacy, parenting supports, case management, energy efficiency, rent utility assistance, and affordable housing. And I was also at the County Commission this morning, and they also provided a proclamation, which we're very thankful for. Community Action is 60 years old this year, so that's quite an accomplishment for an organization to have been like that. We do also, as I said, like to build community, so we care very much that we not only add to the communities we live in, but that we offer the people who live here and who we serve an opportunity to participate in the community. We do bring in at least over $2.5 million in outside federal and state funds that wouldn't normally be in this community. Our payroll's over $1,800,000, and most of that is in Upshur County because most of our main office is here, so most of our employees work in this county. For example, food, we spend over $70,000, and that goes to a local business like Winglings for the most part. And when we help people with rent, whether it be arrears, a security deposit, or a short-term rent payment, there's nearly $500,000 that's supporting our local landlords. And sometimes our hotel rooms, if we need to support someone very temporarily before we can get them into housing. So if you have any questions about any of the outcomes, I'd be happy to share those, or you can ask me about those later.
Any questions for Kathy? All right, well, if council would indulge me quickly, I will read the proclamation that Mountain Cap supplied. This is the Community Action 60th Anniversary and Community Action Month Proclamation. Whereas Community Action has made essential contributions across this nation for 60 years, inspiring a spirit of hope, creating opportunities for millions of people to be a part of the American dream and improving communities. And whereas Community Action remains committed to a nation that creates opportunities for all people to thrive, build strong, resilient communities, and ensure a more equitable society. And whereas Community Action is a robust state and local force connecting people to life-changing services and creating pathways to prosperity in 99% of all American counties. And whereas Community Action builds and promotes economic stability as an essential aspect of enabling and enhancing stronger communities and stable homes. And whereas community action strategies and innovative solutions evolve as the needs of individuals and families and communities in cities, suburbs, and rural areas change. And whereas community action is experienced in advancing opportunities by coordinating federal, state, local, and private resources to achieve results for people and communities. And whereas community action insists on community participation and involvement, ensuring that all sectors of the community have a voice and will be heard. And whereas community action is recognizing 60 years of innovation, impact, and providing proven results for Americans. Now, therefore, I, Robert Neal Skinner III, Mayor of the City of Buckhannon, do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Community Action Month in recognition of the 59 years of previous service and dedication and results achieved by Mountain Cap of West Virginia. In testimony whereof, I hereto set my hand and official seal of the City of Buckhannon of the great city of Buckhannon, West Virginia on this second day of May 2024. Would any members of council like to join in a photo with Kathy? And also, I would like to invite, since I was invited up this morning, if Commissioner Tenney would like to be a part of the picture.
It's a very good organization.
Thank you. You've been an important part.
David, you need some assistance?
Yeah.
Hang on, let me go get David here. Hang on.
Don't want me to stand on the
You
table?
can't go through, there's
I
not
can't.
enough room to go through.
Come fall, David.
Not that skinny, Dave. I have to really fall.
Yeah, you got right shoulder there. All right, a couple more steps here, and then you turn around. Turn around. Okay.
Can you get us all in the frame here?
Yeah, I do. All right, y'all ready? 1, 2, 3. One round.
Over here.
All right.
You grab my phone there.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Oh,
Pretty- hang on.
we need one more? Okay.
If you would please, yeah, one more so I can get my there and talk with you.
Oh, I don't. Okay. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's a few.
All right.
I
Thank you.
have copies here as well for you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. All right, David.
Thank you.
Yes.
Go do another one here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're gonna, thank you. Thank you for everything you do.
You and everybody.
Yeah, I thought I would. This one's shorter. I'll just,
Thanks, Troy. Yeah, just stay there. Okay.
So this one we've been honored to do for the last few years, and thank you, Father, for bringing this to us. This is a proclamation. We welcome our friends from the Holy Rosary Catholic Church here in town to be a part of this celebration. So this is a proclamation recognizing the Feast of Corpus Christi Day. Whereas the City of Buckhannon and the Holy Rosary Catholic Church are united in promoting a deeply symbolic relationship among the townspeople and parishioners. And whereas the parishioners of Holy Rosary Catholic Church are committed to living the Eucharist, a true presence of Jesus Christ in the world. And whereas the Feast of Corpus Christi, also called Solemnity of the Most Holy Body and Blood of Christ, honors this is a lot. Honors of the real presence of the body, corpus, and of Jesus Christ in the Eucharist. And whereas the Feast of Corpus Christi will be observed on June 2nd, 2024 in the Holy Roman Catholic Church, and particularly by the Holy Rosary Catholic Church here in Buckhannon. And now, therefore, I, Robert Neal Skinner III, Mayor of the City of Buckhannon, do hereby declare June 2nd, 2024 as the Feast of Corpus Christi Day in the City of Buckhannon. Encourage all of our citizens to rejoice and celebrate with their friends and neighbors from the Holy Rosary Catholic Church. In witness of this, I give my hand and official seal of the city on this second day of May 2024. So would you all like to come up for a photo op? And this is going to be a challenge to get everybody.
You know what, I think council can stand back. Let's see, everybody, come on, David, we're gonna get out of the way here. I'll give way in the back.
Good to see you.
How are you? Good to see you.
Hey Sal, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. All right, I'm tall, so somebody come over in front.
Squish. I'm a student boss.
Commissioner, would you like to come up?
Someone over here. Yeah. You have room right here for you. I'll kind of just like this way.
Okay. We're shifting.
Actually, I don't need guys. All right, now I'm gonna do. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna count to 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
Over here? Okay. Better not be making any funny faces above my head.
Is that right here?
Oh, sorry, Randy.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
oh,
sorry.
Katie got some more.
Wait.
Katie got
1.
All right. Would anybody from the church like to say anything?
Just thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. So you have some copies, and of course you can make more. So, thank you. Thank you.
Thank
How's
you.
your sister doing? Doing well. Good. Please tell her I said hi. Will do.
very good, sir.
Take care, have a good evening. Let me shake your hand on staying on Foster. Keep on.
Hey, how we doing?
It's good to see you.
Good.
All right. Thank you all.
Drink of water.
Just water.
I think you know me.
Watch what you say, Randy.
Okay.
Okay, y'all can move up front now.
So I guess we know that the Catholics sit up front, the Methodists sit back.
I can see that.
As a lifelong Methodist, I understand. Okay. Up next, we have Sue McKissick and Chris Garrett from the Upshur Buckhannon Health Department. And they are here to discuss, it is on the agenda, it is H3. So while they're here, I would like to ask that we move this line item up for consideration. If you'll, excuse me, indulge me. Either Chris or Sue, whomever would like to take the podium is yours.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
As you know, the state government has been putting more authority or more regulations, guidance, whatever, on city council and county commission. In May of 2023, we raised our fees for permits and our fee for services and our permit fees. Fees for services are water samples, home loan evaluations, general consultation in the field or in the office, FOIA requests, copies of any records that we may have. We charge a fee for all of those. And then our permit fees are like septic fees, restaurants, mobile homes, food establishments, daycares, anything that requires a grocery stores, convenience stores, anything that requires a permit from the health department. So we raised those May 16th of 2023. Chris, the board talked to him. He presented a spreadsheet from 5%, 10, 15, 20, 25. Our board chose to do the 10%. So then we had to publish it in the legal notices, had to be on file at Secretary of State's office. We had a 30-day comment period. We had no comments then, so we were in line. Our board agreed to approve those fees. Well, this year I got a letter from the state that if we had increased these fees prior to March of 2021, we wouldn't have to come to city council or county commission to ask for the increase or to get approval for the increase. Since we did it in May of 2023, this is part of the obligation that we have to do. Those fees did go in effect last year. We are not asking for an additional increase. We just need approval of these fees. And I think our board was fair with choosing the 10% because we know inflation, mileage, wages, gas even, all those things have went up. So we're asking that you approve these fees that we've been charging since last year. And it's okay, we were able to continue charging them, but if it's not approved by city council, then we have to, for the city fees, go back to our old rate. County Commission did approve it today, so we can charge the new rate to people out in the county. This brings in and is put in our budget of approximately $69,000 a year. We have one sanitarian that works full-time with benefits, and we have one sanitarian that works part-time. If we don't get approval from both areas, that would greatly cut our costs, cut our budget, and we would have to cut out services, whether it's doing a yearly inspection versus the one that we're obligated to do every 2 years. Chris inspects water, pools, Wesleyan, and the hotel that used to have one, and 4-H camp, and the high school. I mean, there's a lot of things that he does. That's why we have another sanitarian that works part-time. Chris cannot keep up with all of it just because we have more restaurants than we've had. We've got food trucks everywhere now. We've got all kinds of things going on. So it does take 2 people to keep this going. Dr. Reed is here as our board chair, or our medical director, I'm sorry, and Chris is here as sanitarian if anybody has any questions.
Just for a couple clarification sakes for our general public. As you mentioned, these are not, you're not seeking an increase. These fees have been in place since May of 2023.
That's correct.
Due to legislative change, the city council and the county commission must approve,
Yes.
but just take the steps, check the boxes to approve the fees that are already in place.
That's correct.
These fees are not going to be put on any utility bills. These fees are not going to be put into any sort of mail pieces into the county. These are only for services needed, and then you would pay the fee if you require the service.
Yes, that's correct.
Right. So just wanted to make sure that that's clarified, because there were a couple of questions out there of like, oh, is this going on our city utility bill every single month? No, it's not. This is not. The city nor the county we have nothing to do with this. We just have to allow these fee structures to be placed through you in our community.
Yes.
And just to highlight as again, you had a sliding scale that you could choose, and you chose 10%, which is far from the maximum, which was 25%.
That's correct.
Okay.
So did our county counterpart already approve this earlier today? Did you?
Yes, they approved it this morning.
Yeah.
Mr. Skinner, I would move that we authorize these new fees by our health department.
All right, there is a motion on the floor by Mr. McCauley. Is there a second?
I'll second.
With a second by Mr. Thomas. Is there a need for any further discussion?
I have a question I want to ask.
Could you push the microphone over a little bit towards you? Thank you.
Does the health department have any teeth or have any say in the way, like if somewhere someone is living in a building that is considered unsafe or very unsanitary?
Chris?
We do not regulate.
Chris, thank you. Sorry.
The health department does not regulate private residences.
Okay.
Okay. We regulate public places, such as tattoo parlors, daycare centers, schools, restaurants. So we have very little teeth. Now we can act as an advisor, consultant, educator to that person or persons living in unsanitary conditions, and we do quite a bit of work.
So do they have to request your help, or can somebody make a suggestion?
I couldn't.
Do they have to ask for your help, or can somebody suggest you checking on those people?
We need to be contacted by we need to be solicited by that person, ideally.
Okay.
Ideally. If a family member comes to me and says, hey, my relative has bed bugs, will you please come help him? I mean, we step in, and again, in an educational role, but in terms of forcing, some type of correction in those types of issues, we cannot do that.
That's all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you both very much for all the work that you do in our community. There's a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. This is to H3 for the Upshur Buckhannon Health Department's implementation of environmental fees and permits and services.
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins?
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you both.
Thanks, Steve.
All right. Meredith, I think you've been holding out on it, some information from me. I found out your mom roomed with my cousin at Wesleyan.
No.
Yeah.
That just, she could say eeks to that.
Say it again.
Her mom, when she was a student here, roomed with my cousin when she was a student at Wesleyan. So, holding out information.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't. Dad, well, who do you think found out? Dad did. So,
He was asking Meredith.
yes.
She's just going to ignore that.
She sort of denied it.
The floor is yours, Meredith.
Yep, it is.
Good evening. We're winding down the semester. Today was our student study day, ending later tonight with a late night breakfast served by the faculty and staff. Friday begins the first day of finals, ending on May 7th with the undergraduates departing on May 7th. Seniors will be busy though. Saturday, May 4th, we will be giving the seniors a senior prom at the Colonial Arts Center catered by the Whistle Stop. Our way of trying to treat them to a little more special because they didn't get a high school prom because of COVID. Wednesday, May 8th, seniors will be treated to a grad fest at the 88 Pavilion. Friday, May 10th, we will have the graduate reception for Alderson and Broadus graduates, senior brunch, school of nursing convocation, education department reception, multicultural, and first generation ceremony, the baccalaureate with guest speaker Bishop Sandra Steiner Ball. And Saturday, May 11th, the commencement will be held at Wesley Chapel at 10 a.m. with guest speaker Mark Phillips, President and CEO of Catholic Charities, West Virginia. Then there is no rest as we will host the Strawberry Festival coronation the same evening. We thank you for the great year of community support for our students. We appreciate all that Buckhannon does for those students at Wesleyan. And we wish you a great summer, and I will see you guys back in August.
Okay.
All right.
Have a good summer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Meredith.
All right. Before we close our time of recognized guests, are there any others who wish to address council this evening? All right. We will consider the time of recognized guests closed. All right. As you notice, Mr. Arnold is not here this evening, but he did provide a report. If you haven't been up to the city park to see the work being done, you really owe yourself a visit up there. A lot is changing. So under street department, we continue working on the city park. We have hauled and placed about 1,500 cubic yards of fill material, and the pickleball courts are ready for paving. The crews are repairing a couple of areas of sidewalk on South Florida Street and repairing a concrete apron at the light pole at the public safety complex. What is also not in here, I will mention, and Mrs. Tenney is here. We, myself, Jay, from the city. We met with our friends at the County Commission earlier this week to look at the area where the third lane is going to be installed by the DOH on Route 20, which is South Locust Street. That project is, the DOH is very excited for that project, and that project is going to begin shortly after the new year 2025 next year in surveys, and construction would likely begin in April. So it's coming along, and we appreciate the County Commission for purchasing that property and beautifying the area just south of the courthouse. And we are contributing our city engineer and the work that he's doing to help our friends at the County Commission. So it's a good partnership project. We're happy to be a part of it. And then once it's all said and done, we're going to have an opportunity to continue beautifying the area with some period lighting and working with them to tie all the parking areas in together. So that was a good meeting this week. That was clear back on Monday, hard to believe. There is, from the sewer department, crews continue to work on Island Avenue project. Waste, nothing new to report. Water crews continue to work on Meade Street Waterline project under engineering. The ARPA, the Tenderton Booster Station Contract B, is approximately 90% complete. Under the DOH Transportation Alternative TAP program, the city received notice that the Morton Avenue Engineering Survey design phase was approved by the governor. The value of that phase of the project is $75,000, which the city is responsible for $15,000. That is, of course, our 80-20 split. The 2024-2025 application period will be opening soon, and the city will resubmit the Route 20 North sidewalk project, and also prepare an application for Main Street and Route 20 intersection sidewalk improvement between Main and Huffman Lane. And then under CRS, submitted the necessary information required by CRS for the 2023-2024 annual CRS report on April 29th of 2024. If you have any specific questions for Mr. Arnold, please reach out to him, but that is his report for the evening. But again, if you have not been to the city park, please head up there. It's coming along very nicely. Continuing under department reports, we have Amby, who has shifted over to the other side of the room.
Turn off a little bit.
For our finance report. Good evening.
Can you hear me okay? It sounds like you can hear me on this.
It shows up on here. It's just...
Is it not coming across the speakers?
No, I didn't hear it when I was back there.
Okay.
A little difficult.
Check it. Okay.
All right, so I'll give you your balances for April and then some other information. April general fund money market and checking was at $1,988,000. The reason for that increase is we brought over that last tranche of funds that were budgeted to receive from the sales tax. We brought over $1,162,000 and put it into general fund, so that will carry us through to the June 30th. We started doing some of our projects, so we're spending more money. Historic landmark savings, $3,034. Stockard Youth Center, I did book a little bit of interest. They were at $447,000 with the pledge of $12,000, is $459,000. Coal taxes at $53,000. Municipal stabilization fund, $924,000. Flood control project, $78,000. Consolidated public works, $151,000. And money market and checking, and the CDs at $235,000. Sales tax is at $1,203,000. I did book some interest. You've authorized me to put it into Board of Treasury Investment, and we booked interest for February through March was $11,900, so we got some good interest off that. American Rescue Plan account is $422,000. The opioid account is $113,000, and then I didn't get a chance to work on all the interest that you'd asked for, Mr. Thomas, so I'll try to get that by the next meeting. I do have some, but not all. In revenues and expenditures for general fund, $1,668,000 was received in revenues, $446,000 in expenses. Of that, in your bills to be paid, the ones to point out is to Roselle Enterprises, pouring footers, installing drains, forms, and core slab at the fire department was $9,906. JF Allen blacktop for patching and stone for walk trail, $5,999. Seal Coat Concepts painting the curb crosswalks at Apothecary Way, $2,203. And then Benjamin Harrison for mowing lots, $4,000. We have an activity report in your packet for Stockard Youth Center. Approximately 1,400 people attended the various functions that were going on there. Karate, party rental, violin lessons, after-school projects was the majority of that. So 1,400 in participants for that for the month of April. The Colonial Theater it's continued to be used by the homeschool group for a classroom there. They rent it. The main hall is rented for a party as well, private party. Then we also had the BCT production of Rex's Exodus, which was held April 25th through 28th. We don't have the ticket count on that, but it seemed like it was well attended. The event center, and I thought I probably should start reporting on some of those activities, and Randy can weigh in on that. In April, we have the Shriners Elimination Dinner. They use the facility for that. The NRA fundraiser, the West Virginia School Board Association dinner and presentation, and then the Upshur County poll worker training was held there. So that's my report. I have not heard anything before we ask. Somebody will probably ask about USDA. I actually tried to reach out to Stacy. She is in training this week and won't be back till next week.
Any questions for Amby relative to her report? All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Andy.
All right. Fire Chief J.B. Kimball is out watching his daughter in softball this evening. We are we in regionals? Is that where we are? Sectionals. And we're playing University tonight at University in Morgantown. So we have Captain Baxa with us this evening.
How is everybody this evening?
Good. How are you, Captain?
Good. This will be short and sweet, so just how we like it. So starting out, the monthly report for March is in there. We had 240 calls for service, so that's in your packet, the breakdown with that. Also in there is going to be just a little summary timeline of events of a fire we had on Monday at Upper Drive. It goes in there and it talks about the whole timeline with that. Everything that happened and so forth. We did have 2 members that were transported, treated, and released to St. Joe's. They were there for only a couple hours for minor heat-related issues. They're all good now and back to work, so that is good. Also in your packet is pictures of the concrete pads at the training facility. They have been poured. They will start stacking the Connex boxes soon for the training facility out there. So that's coming along. It's good to see a little progress on that. So the one test cancer screening, what is a preemptive cancer screening for firefighters. We have 7 of our members that have had that completed. We have 8 more of them that will be completed in the coming weeks. All this does is establish a baseline. It's a test that's done annually just to see if anything changes numbers-wise for cancer readings for firefighters. So, Strawberry Festival planning is completed, so we're as ready as we're going to be for that. So, ready for that to start. Our testing to add to our list of eligibles is this Saturday, May 4th. So, we'll be testing our physical agility and written test will be this Saturday. So, glad to get that going. We're continuing to work with Orion Strategies currently, and all we're doing with them is for recruitment and retention program, marketing purposes, that type of stuff with them. They're kind enough to help us out with that. We've also accepted 2 new members in March in our fire department, so that's a good thing. We went a little while without anybody, so it's always good when you get new people in. And we also accepted 2 junior members in. It's kind of a new track that we're hitting there, trying to get them when they're young. We'll be sponsoring them too. They'll be going, it's the 2nd full week of June to the WVU Fire Service Extension Junior Firefighter Camp in Jackson's Mill. So that's exciting too. So that's all that's here. So if anybody has anything to add, so that'll be it.
Any questions for Captain Baxa? Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir. You guys have a good evening.
You too. Since we have one meeting this month, I'm in here just, I'm ready to raise the roof on that one. But we have our Chief Matthew Gregory with us this evening to provide us a report. Otherwise, he would be here the week of Strawberry Festival, but we do not have a meeting that week. So, Chief, do you have a report for us?
Yes, sir.
Oh, no? Okay, thanks.
I got it anyway. You all thought that you were going to get the month of May without Matt Gregory.
Yeah, no, we couldn't survive.
Here I am.
There you are.
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah, good to be here. Mayor, just a few things to report on tonight. Obviously, our greatest focus right now is preparing for the West Virginia Strawberry Festival. Had many meetings with a variety of law enforcement agencies, public safety partners, as Captain Baxter said, to finalize the plans as we move forward into the next couple of weeks. We are also working with city utilities, with Jerry Arnold and his crews, for street closures and all the necessary arrangements for the parades and street parties. In addition to that, continue to work on CALEA policies. The CALEA Policy Review Committee met on April 25th and approved a variety of policy changes consistent with the newest version of the CALEA Standards Manual. Those changes, the new manual was adopted into our assessment, and the approved policy changes are currently being uploaded into Power DMS. We also continue to focus on fulfilling various instructor positions that are needed throughout the department on various disciplines. We focus on everything from defensive tactics, less lethal weapons, as well as specifically taser and ASP applications as well. So we're about halfway through the required positions as we progress throughout the year. We hope to have that complete as we get into the fall. Then the only other thing that I have to report on tonight, I have reported that our 3 replacement cruisers that are replacing the 3 oldest that we're cycling out and returning back to Enterprise, those have been received. They are currently at the upfitter and are awaiting emergency equipment to be shipped. The turnaround time on that is about 4 to 6 weeks. So we're hoping to see something by the end of May, beginning of June, and have those on the road. Mayor, that's all I have tonight. Unless there's questions.
Any questions for Chief Gregory?
I got a question to ask.
Sir.
We had a presentation in the public hearing that there was one area on Main Street, I don't remember where it is, but there seems to be a conflict maybe with neighbors.
Yes.
That you have an inordinate amount of calls. What do we need to do to resolve that?
The number of calls is fairly accurate that she'd stated. We had researched that based on some FOIA requests that we're currently undergoing some civil litigation at that location. And at the time, there were well over 200 calls at a specific location. Many of the calls were from neighbors just due to noise, just due to nuisance type issues. Many more of the calls were actually from the residence itself. In fact, we continue, just as of this week, to get calls at that residence. There's a gentleman that lives there that he calls a lot, and sometimes it's related to individual issues that he's having inside of his house. We address those to the best of our ability. Sometimes it's issues that he believes are occurring to him and to his house, and investigate that to the best extent. That's really the extent. Obviously, we're bound by the laws. We have ordinances in place for noise. I know the resident has been cited for disorderly conduct on a number of occasions. I know of at least 2 just here in the last few months. There have been other arrests, other issues that we have addressed, both investigations we've conducted as well as arrests that have been made at that location. I really can't go into a lot of detail because some of these involve juvenile matters, and really can't say any more than that.
Is the person a homeowner or is he a renter?
He's a renter.
You need to talk to the landlord even? You think?
Well, the landlord is well aware of the situation and I'll just leave it at that. They're well aware of the
So
situation.
you're really at a point you can't really answer specific questions.
Yeah, there ought to be some kind of eventual resolution.
Yeah, I mean, the city doesn't have, I know one of the solutions that's been offered to me by the neighbors is something that the city of Buckhannon doesn't have, and that's a nuisance ordinance, and which kind of speaks to Ms. Terry's presentation, in that if there's so many or X amount of calls at a location, that they be cited for a nuisance. I know it's been reported to me by citizens that other cities have this, Buckhannon does not.
You think we should?
I mean, that'd be up to council to explore and to research that. You know, I mean, you would get into the, and I would defer to legal on this as far as defining what a nuisance is, just simply because, as I said, many of the calls there are induced by the renter. He calls the police himself for things, so I don't know if that would. Again, I would defer to legal to define nuisance.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt.
So you're well aware of it.
We are.
There's some real difficult issues to deal with.
Yes, it's a difficult situation among neighbors. It's very trying, I'm sure, for the neighbors.
Since we have several folks that are online, I know that Tabitha Perry has just joined us as well, and Commissioner Tenney is here. Would it be okay if we went ahead and, are you prepared to, if we could go ahead and talk about the memorandum of understanding that's on our agenda that involves the Buckhannon Police Department and the Upshur County 911 Center regarding the radio project?
Sure. Okay. I'll defer to the comm center. I know that there's been conversations over time about utilizing the public safety building as a backup site for the 911 center. Certainly, you know, we want to, being a small community, we have to rely on all of our public safety partners, and we want to work together as much as we possibly can. And so in that vein, you know, we have continued these conversations. I know that as we progressed, I've spoken with Mr. Cutright, the director of the 911 Center, about getting official approval from City Council to establish a backup site at the public safety building, and I believe that is, without speaking out of turn, I do believe that is the main focus of his presentation tonight. But I do know that this has been a project that has been in the works for some time, and conversations obviously leading toward that as well.
I think it's a fantastic idea. My one concern is, have we scoped out the appropriate secure area that is not in conflict with any other
I know
systems that's going on?
I know that in conversation that wasn't specifically identified, at least not to my knowledge, it wasn't specifically identified. I do know that leading up to tonight's specific presentation that there has been continued discussion with our technological folks that assist us with such matters with the city. And I believe, I don't know if they're, if he's on the line as well, I'm sure he has some information to add to that as well.
And we can get into that, because that was my concern. I don't know how much we can discuss here in an open meeting, but, you know, I think it kind of went under the radar to at least myself, as far as not investigating what section, what locality, what other systems are, you know, up and running in the safety complex. So how best to integrate it to everybody's advantage.
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Cutright, Mr. Hughes, are you both there and able to provide some information you might have?
Sure, this is Doyle. Joe, and I am available. Absolutely. I'm going to let Doyle go ahead and explain his part first, and then I will speak to location and that kind of stuff after Doyle gets done explaining.
Great, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be here. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I have a very sick family member that I'm trying to take care of as well. So, but just to give you guys some information to the best of my ability in an open forum, because obviously we want to protect the security of our emergency communications. But in jest, the project is designed to allocate allocate resources there at the public safety complex that would be utilized in the event of an emergency backup. And that would consist of essentially radios that we would be able to deploy if needed. If for whatever reason, if we were to need to vacate the communications center, or if we have a system failure there, then it would serve as a mission critical backup.
Okay, thank you. Makes sense. Joe?
Yeah, I'm looking toward, but I think we need to meet privately on this about the location for obvious reasons, but to my understanding, are the radios strictly just on emergency use only, or will these be on consistently in the equipment that will go on the outside of the building? And again, I might be speaking on stuff that we need to speak privately, but I would like to be in contact as the city's representative for the IT side to where this location goes and how that equipment is placed on the building and when.
Sure.
And where, obviously, inside as well.
So in theory, it could be something that we utilize all the time, if we so chose. But in my mindset, it would be something that we would utilize as an emergency fallback. And some of those resources obviously are going to be needing to be secure in nature, and that's why we chose the law enforcement side of the building as well as the location there with inside the building.
Okay, yeah, and we have to discuss that a little bit more about, the location and the availability to get there and when, and if it will be during emergency uses only. And are these county radios or these city radios? Can you give us a little description on what that looks like on the day-to-day versus emergency time?
I'm just going to say that they're going to be law enforcement specific.
Okay.
A and B, yeah.
Again, to try to keep things
Right.
secure, I would suggest that you maybe conditionally approve it upon meeting with our IT people to make sure that this is not in a location that's going to interfere with our
That's
security.
what I was going to suggest, is this is a backup location, it's not primary. It's the 911 center, it's our Buckhannon Police Department. I feel like we can work the details out, but I think we can approve this on a condition that, our IT professionals work with 911 and Buckhannon Police Department to secure the right
And make
position.
sure bandwidth they're going to handle both of us and where they're located.
Yeah. Does that make sense to council members?
Well, I've got a question, Mr. Mayor. Did we approve this MOU already in a council meeting? Okay, so this was executed in December of '23, though. Okay, but it was never brought before council. Okay.
Yeah. Doyle might be able to back me up on this. I do know that, again, in continued conversations with Doyle and Kimber regarding this project, I do know it's grant funded for the county, and my understanding in signing this is supporting the program, obviously not authorizing its placement. I've said more than once to both Doyle and Kimber that ultimate approval for this has to come from the city council. That's in fact what brought them here tonight. They were actually scoping our site out the other day, and I stated, they were working with Lieutenant Loudon at the time, and I stated to him that it had to be communicated back to the comm center that they have to get council's approval for this to occur. But again, this MOU is my support for the grant program, support for the project, not my authorization to ultimately place it there, because I don't have that authority to do that.
Yeah, that was my concern because I'm a member of the IT committee, and this was the first when I saw the packet, the first that I had really become aware of it. And knowing of the systems that we have throughout the city, you know, we have to have meetings to, I absolutely want to make this work.
Sure.
In every way, shape, or form. But I think we have to be very careful utilizing Mr. Hughes with his expertise, the IT committee if necessary, just to double check that everything, you know, is going to be great, fine, safe, secure, and there's not going to be any interruptions to any of our systems.
Yeah,
So, Mr.
absolutely.
Mayor,
I support that wholeheartedly. That was my concern coming into this. Again, that's why it's stated repeatedly that council has to approve this as we discuss the project moving forward. I do support working together.
Absolutely.
In that vein, but as far as final authorization, it has to come from council.
Yeah, absolutely, because IT it's one of the most sensitive areas.
Yeah.
Absolutely most sensitive areas that we have in today's society. But I would move to, I guess you're looking for a motion to approve the MOU in theory, pending
The exact location.
determining the exact location, the proper location.
Working with our IT.
Right. Does it have to be in a safety complex? I mean, that's probably the obvious place, but.
I think that, and Doyle can chime in on this, I think the conversation was because, especially because of the, with the CALIA accreditation that the police department has and the extra security measures that we have for our facility through our accredited policies, that the police department was seen as the ideal location to support this program, again, because of those principles. Is that a correct statement, Doyle?
Yes, Chief. And also to, along with what the Chief was speaking on as well, this specific section of the project was also to assist and address some of the CALIA recommendations for accreditation and things of that nature. So other things were, simply, a secure location, backup power, things of that nature.
We work very closely with the Upshur County Emergency Communications Center with our accreditation. In fact, an entire chapter in the CLIA accreditation manual involves communications, which is something that we do not directly control. The Upshur County E911 Center is the public safety answering point for all public safety agencies in Upshur County. We do have a memorandum of understanding with them establishing that officially, and it's always been unwritten for many, many years before that, but we entered into that officially as we began the accreditation process. So it's through this mutual understanding that we have as we work on accreditation, and as you know, accreditation is an annual, it's an ongoing process. We rely very heavily on the comm center to provide us with proofs, not only policies, but proofs to maintain our accreditation. And again, so it's in that vein of cooperation that we continue these conversations as we look for solutions for not only our own individual operations, but also our continuity of operations beyond in emergency situations.
Absolutely. Again, I'll wrap up by just saying I agree wholeheartedly that we find common ground on this MOU pending the proper discovery of the location approved by our IT specialists. We'll word it, in that vein.
Are you prepared to make that motion?
I am.
I'll second the motion if I could offer a comment under discussion.
All right, the motion has been offered by Mr. Sanders and seconded by Mr. McCauley. Discussion.
Matt, I think back in 2004, when the city began discussing the acquisition of the Foodland Rite Aid property, it's hard to believe it's been 20 years, but it has been. This is precisely one of the kinds of things that we envisioned then, that there would be some further involvement with Upshur County EMS and our comm center, and it's a public safety complex. And while it's primarily city police and city fire department, it's really the center of all things public safety when push comes to shove. I mean, the upcoming festival and the barbecue bash, that's where everybody's going to be relative to all of the activities. So I think it just makes sense for us to explore this and try to make it happen.
Sure.
I have a question. Why would it not be ideal to have maybe 3 radios in the police side and 3 on the fire department side?
Well, logistically, I would think that could be a problem. I'm just thinking of
I'm just wondering, or something centrally located, if either one would absolutely have to be the ones.
I mean, again, that's something that the IT folks, Doyle could weigh in on at a separate meeting, but I think that splitting things up can create a problem if you're in a fast-moving emergency situation and you have to obtain at least if I was preparing my emergency site at a production, I'd want things in a common place. That's my first initial thought.
Okay, what I'm thinking is there always a police officer at the police station? That's my concern. If nobody was there and the fire department would be able to get to the guns if necessary.
Well, we employ 24-hour police and 24-hour fire.
They're not there, they're pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wondered.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd ask.
But I would think these should be all collectively together. Is that correct, Doyle?
Yes. So again, without divulging too much, the whole concept of the project is to diversify locations of all of our mission critical radios, and so we do have other alternate sites as well.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's probably the best way to end that discussion. Yeah.
All right, there is a motion and a second on the floor. We've had plenty of discussion. Are we ready to call for the question? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Like sign opposed, that motion carries unanimously. Thank you all very much. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doyle. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. All right. Under correspondence and Mr. O'Neill has deferred to strategic issues for discussion or vote. So we are ready for correspondence and information. We have a notice of public hearing and proposed adoption of ordinance 467 for the city's fire protection fees. And then again, notice of public hearing and proposed adoption of ordinance 468, increasing the city's police protection fees, which we had this evening. Notice of city council meeting date of May 16th that has been canceled due to the conflict of the West Virginia Strawberry Festival events. We have a notification to residents and businesses located along the parade route for lineup and staging areas. We have we have Wilbur Grubb Police Officer Recognition Day. That's going to be on May 15th at 2 o'clock at the Public Safety Complex. And then we've got Friendly Way Day, Firefighter Recognition Day, and that is May 17th at 3 p.m. at the Public Safety Complex. 15th is Wednesday, 17th is Friday. Please try to come for those two events. We have a notice accepting resumes for the position of Public Works Director for the city of Buckhannon, and then we have a notice, a special meeting of the Planning Commission, which we discussed last council meeting to discuss the request for consideration to amend zoning ordinance 244, section 501, specifically the R1 single-family residential district, whether or not to permit the use of including Airbnb rentals, and that will be on May 20th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Just to clarify again, because I did receive a question personally between last meeting and now, Airbnbs are permitted, are permitted within the corporate limits. They are permitted in R2 and R3. They're permitted in our commercial districts. They're just not currently permitted in our R1 zone. So that is what we are discussing at the May 20th meeting at 6:30, and that will be here in this building. Under the consent agenda, we have the approval of the minutes from the meeting on the 18th of April. We have the approval of the building and wiring permits, and we have the approval of the payment of our bills. I'd entertain a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented. We have a motion by Thomas, a second by Bucklew. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Like sign opposed. Motion carries unanimously. Under strategic issues for discussion and or vote, we have both ordinances 467 and 468. These will be both the third and final readings. And let the minutes reflect, we did host two separate public hearings on the matters. And so I will defer to Mr. O'Neill, our city attorney, to read each ordinance by caption, and then we'll call for the question to approve on third and final reading.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. It's good to be with you tonight. As you mentioned, Mayor, the council has before it on the third reading for action ordinance number 467 of the City of Buckhannon, and ordinance amending ordinance number 390 of the City of Buckhannon, increasing the city's fire protection service fees charged to residents and businesses within the corporate limits of the city, establishing tiered fees, providing for the administration, collection, and use of fees raised hereby, and setting an effective date of July 1st, 2024. This is the third of three readings.
Is there a motion to approve on the third and final reading ordinance 467, thus increasing the city's fire protection service fees?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rigger, second by Mr. Thomas. Any further discussion? Hearing the need for none, I will call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Like sign opposed. That ordinance number 467 has been approved on after three readings unanimously each time. Okay, H2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council has before it ordinance number 468 of the City of Buckhannon, and ordinance amending ordinance number 244 of the City of Buckhannon, increasing the city's police protection service fees charged to residents and businesses within the corporate limits, establishing tiered fees, providing for the administration, collection, and use of fees raised hereby, and setting an effective date of July 1st, 2024. Again, Mayor, this is for council's consideration, the third of three readings.
Is there a motion to accept ordinance 468, thus increasing the city's police protection fees on third and final reading?
So moved.
Motion by Bucklew, second by Sanders. Any further discussion? Hearing the need for none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Like sign opposed. Let the minutes reflect that ordinance 468 has been approved on its third and final reading, and on all three readings it was approved unanimously. Okay, thank you, Mr. O'Neill. All right, we have dispensed with H3. H4, due to a holiday, we've got several holidays that are falling on Thursdays this year. Reschedule the City Council meeting from June 20th, which is the West Virginia Day holiday, to be held on Tuesday, June 18th. Is there a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Motion by Thomas, second by McCauley. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Like sign opposed, that motion carries unanimously. H5, due to the holiday, which is July 4th, we're asking that we merge the City Council meetings from July 4th and July 18th to be held on July 11th. Reason for that is by state code, we have to have a budget revision as we begin the first part of our new fiscal year, and it must be done prior to July the 15th. So that would allow us to fall within that guideline. So we would ask that we would have one meeting, obviously, as we always do. If we should need to have another meeting in the month of July, we will leave that door open. Council can set it at its will and pleasure. Is there a motion to approve canceling the July 4th meeting, combining it with the July 18th meeting, having it on July 11th?
So
Motion by Mr. Sanders. I don't know who seconded it. We'll say Bucklew. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Like sign opposed. That motion carries unanimously. In the back of your packet, just 2 pages prior to the discussion about the memorandum of understanding, this is relative to H6. The Police Civil Service Commission has recommended 3 top candidates for council to consider for hiring and to conduct interviews for a probationary police officer on Tuesday, May 21st, 2024. Teresa polled all of council, and that date and time worked for everyone. You have the list there before you. They have suggested Megan Marie McCacken, Christopher Henry Lee Kloss, and Jonathan Levi Tomey, in that order. Is that date and are those candidates satisfactory to you? And can we approve that for Tuesday, May 21st, 2024 at 9 a.m. here at City Hall?
Move to approve.
A motion by Mr. McCauley. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Thomas. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. That motion carries unanimously. Okay, we are down to council comments and announcements, and we'll begin to the left with our resident star, Mrs. Bucklew.
Okay. I just want to ask everybody to be mindful of your neighbors for the Strawberry Festival and welcome people to town. Keep your properties, get your properties spruced up. I've been sometimes we get negativity on the Strawberry Festival, but a lot of people don't realize this is the only time that some children and families get to get any kind of fun in their life, because they don't necessarily get to go on vacation, so it's like a vacation for them. So be supportive of the Strawberry Festival because it's a good time for everybody. And also, early voting started yesterday, so anybody that is registered, get out and exercise your vote to vote. So if you don't vote, I say no voice. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McCauley.
Good luck to everything with the Strawberry Festival. If you've never attended the Web Grub or Friendly Way Day ceremonies on Wednesday and Friday of Festival Week, very somber but uplifting occasions, I encourage folks to come out and support that. And the only other thing I would add is, I think the oldest of the three maybe was the Stockard Service to Youth Champion Day on Thursday. We had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday covered, and I guess we're not going to do that. They haven't come up with it.
They haven't submitted anything, so we could kind of give Deborah a nudge and see if.
I'll talk to her.
Okay.
She doesn't have it, but I think she might confer with the Stockard Youth Board about some of that.
Okay.
That's great. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rigger?
I do not have anything this evening.
Best comment of the night. Mr. Thomas?
I had Teresa and Abby put a memorandum in everybody's mailbox for a recommendation at some point in time to increase the compensation for the mayor, the recorder, and the council. Those that would go into effect during the election cycle. This time it's 3 council members and the mayor. And next time it's the recorder and 2 council members. But please review that. It's a very minor increase. I think it's way, way, way overdue. It's been 20 years since the mayor and the council had an increase. We had a minor one a little while ago for the recorder, a couple of years ago, if I recall. But it's something I think we should give very serious consideration to. That's it.
Thank you.
Everybody have a great weekend and be safe.
Mr. Sanders.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And to tag on what Amby said earlier about the event center, it has been a busy month at that facility. A couple of events that were missed, though. The State of the Corridor, which brought together community leaders from our region, and it was a really great inaugural event. If you didn't attend, those of you that's watching the meeting, if you get a chance to attend next year, I'm not sure where it will be hosted, but it was a good, informational, productive gathering of some great minds. And she mentioned the Central West Virginia Friends of the NRA, 300 people strong for that event at the event center, the Upshur County Shrine Club, 400 place settings for that event. And then that was followed up by 1 day of training by our friend Carl Smith, the Office of the Upshur County Clerk, for the poll worker training. And then we flipped the event center for the Buckhannon Upshur High School prom. And that was, I was in the back a little bit. I'd peek out once in a while and watch the young people, and they were having a fantastic time. So kudos to the Buckhannon Upshur High School, the staff, the folks that put it together. You know, it was just a 3-hour great event that I know those young people will remember for a long time. Office of County Clerk came back in for a couple of days of training, and then the West Virginia School Board Association, as Amby said, for their banquet and presentation. It was good to see that presentation as well. It was a very informative evening. In May, we've got Hodgesville and Union Elementary Schools, their concert, which will be great. We have a couple of weddings on deck. So things are going well at the event center, and she mentioned everything at the Culinary Arts Center. Very proud of Matula Hartley, who has come on board as the manager now of those facilities. So she has taken a couple of very important days to go to Florida to see her son graduate from college. So we wish her Godspeed on those travels. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Tenney, do you have anything that you'd like to say to us this evening?
Yes, Mayor.
Sure. I should have recognized you earlier. I apologize.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for having me this evening.
Sure.
So on behalf of the County Commission, I would like to thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here this evening. I would like to ask the mayor, along with council, to see if we could meet regarding the topic that you had discussed to expand the first due. We could meet as early as May 23rd. I know you're not meeting in May, so if we need to push that back to June, we could do that as well. I would be hopeful that as elected officials, we could come together and brainstorm to find some solutions to the issues that we're facing.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can talk about a date that would work for everyone.
Yes.
So,
thank you.
yeah.
And thanks again. Thanks for having me this evening.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
You're welcome anytime. This was like trade day. I went up this morning and participated in the county commission meeting today, and I didn't go for any specific reason, just to well, I did want to listen to the health department discussion and just to kind of get a sneak peek of it for our meeting this evening. But I would encourage my colleagues on council to pop your head into a county commission meeting every once in a while, just to kind of see what's going on up at the other end of the street. And we welcome our friends at the county commission anytime to come down and see how our side of the street works. And as we talked this morning, there's criticism that we don't necessarily work well together. I think we do. We just handle different things. The county commission is not in the utility business. They do not provide water. They do not clean the water for sewage department. They do not collect trash. They're not in street and road paving. The city is a utility provider. So the county commission has oversight over our 911 center. They have oversight over the regional jail fees and bills that are put forth from folks that frequent there from our community. So we do handle different things, and they of course have a recreation park at the high school with a pool that we do not have. So I think it would behoove all of us to just always be open to learning about each other's houses and everything that we have going on apiece. But yes, I think that discussion hasn't been opened between us for about 2, maybe even 3 years now. So I think we'd be happy to meet and have discussion. I was going to read you tonight, but I'm not going to, because quite frankly my voice is tired. I've been in meetings all day and then read a lot tonight. I would ask you to go if you're interested in doing so. I provided an op-ed to my Buckhannon, and they so graciously shared it about the upcoming school levy. This is so important for us. We have families hanging on by a thread here because there are neighboring school systems that are outperforming Upshur County schools at this time. Not something I ever thought would come out of my mouth. But it's happening, and we have families making some tough decisions about where to send their kids to school. And I've heard it a lot. If we don't pass this levy, we are going to see families remove their kids from Upshur County schools and go elsewhere. Please vote for this levy. Please consider it. It is a continuum. It is not an additional tax. This is so important for our community. If there was ever a time, the time is now. We have We have state oversight, and we've been promised by our new superintendent, who's appointed by the state, that it will be full transparency each month of every levy expenditure that will be readily available to the public. So if you are so inclined, please head to my Buckhannon. You can read the op-ed I provided to support the school levy. So at this time, I would wish you all a great month. Wish all of our candidates good luck. If you are running, please go out and vote. You have until May 14th. So at 8:25, I'd entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.